I find it extremely stupid, at least in my opinion, what I think the government is doing. Because if you really think about it, we're working and doing all of this stuff for absolutely no reason whatsoever. We're going out, making this money, coming home, sometimes not even having enough to pay rent, so you gotta go out and work more, maybe even find multiple jobs at a time, barely ever come home, when in reality, because of the technology we have and the machinery, we can make it so we're mass producing these items, and people can stay home with their families.
Money, something that has been corrupting people for thousands of years. Money is a type of currency meaning a system of money in general use in a particular country. Appropriating money almost always requires work that can take countless hours of training and practicing. Yet sometimes the consumers of money, better known as the people working to receive the money, sometimes don't enjoy the actual job they're taking. Jobs known for workers not enjoying them are law enforcement, better known as working as a police officer. Other jobs include working at McDonald's, working in the fire department, and many other jobs. I say those jobs specifically because of websites complaining about these jobs. Most of the websites complain about one thing in common: you only do those kinds of jobs for the money. Those are all very common jobs. Let's take McDonald's for example. Over 1 million people work at McDonald's, according to one of their websites. There are almost 900,000 police officers and detectives in the world. Not only that, but there's also almost 300,000 firefighters in the world. So, what leads me to the particular evidence to conclude that people working these jobs don't enjoy them, but rather dislike them? Well, I found some websites to which the writers of these websites used to work the same jobs I said, working as firefighters, police officers, and even employees at McDonald's. All of these writers had serious complaints. I'll read some of the websites out loud, or at least small parts of them. Of course, these websites will be in the description of this video. A website titled "Why Did You Leave Your Job at McDonald's?" made by Indeed.com is the first website I will read out loud. On this website, almost all of the reasons people actually left were negative. People generally stopped working at McDonald's because of terrible management, according to this website at the least. One former McDonald's employee had this to say: "I used to work as a crew member in 2005, my first job at 15 years old. Unfortunately, I ended up leaving because the manager that was in charge of the restaurant was very lazy. And he would also dump his workload on me, and to make things worse, 3 crew members were kissing his behind and not doing their job. Instead, the manager also dumped me their responsibility for 6 months in total. I was doing these 5 jobs with the bare minimum of $5.25 an hour. One of the worst job experiences I have ever been in." That, of course, isn't the only complaint. There's more than just one, in fact. Here is another complaint a former McDonald's employee had to say. Quote unquote, "Managers let people get away with things that shouldn't be allowed. For instance, on my 3rd day, I was harassed in the walk-in fridge to the point of crying by someone because my trainer had just been suspended for drinking alcohol in front of customers, who coincidentally is the main reason why I'm leaving, because he still does it and treats you like trash while doing so, but gets away with it. And I didn't know what I was doing yet. Not to mention, no one wants to help you as a prep person, but they do want to lay their jobs on you and try to push your limits." That statement was fairly similar to the one I previously read out loud, saying that the managers are terrible and that some of the other employees are as well. The managers and employees of McDonald's seem to only want a paycheck, if you absolutely realize what they're trying to say. A paycheck, of course, involves money. If you haven't noticed, money is the topic of this particular video. McDonald's seems to be a rather disappointing job, where you may get some money, but you will have a rather terrible time. The only reason for why I would see anybody working at McDonald's is if you really need money, and terribly. You, of course, may enjoy the job, but most likely won't, judging by the typical opinion of working at McDonald's. With that being said, why don't we look at some other jobs to see if they're nearly as bad as this job? Another website I found complaining about a different job, which happened to be on police officers. In fact, I will read out some of the complaints that the police officer had to say. Quote unquote, people constantly want to offer excuses for their actions and blame others for problems that they've created themselves. Rather, they say they were speeding because they had to go to the bathroom, or they crashed because the sun was in their eyes. Far too many cops deal with people who don't want to be held accountable for their actions. This can be quite frustrating for police. It's difficult to educate people and to enforce the law when people refuse to believe they did anything wrong, or that their actions were somehow justifiable. Which to that, I would rather agree, judging by the fact some people are dumb, leading to them having a misunderstanding, leading to the police having a harder job, making the job mostly only worth doing for money. Here's another paragraph from the exact same website. Quote unquote, a large part of any police officer's job involves dealing with physical and psychological pain. They see people hurting from violence and abuse, they watch people become victims, and they see them dying and dead. They often meet the loved ones they leave behind. They have to tell their husbands, wives, and parents that their children or spouse won't ever be coming home, and they have to stay calm and strong in the face of it all. That brings its own pain. An officer can bury it and even ignore it from time to time, but it will always be there. Of course, that would only make the job harder, making the job mostly for money, rather than enjoying the job. There's one particular job I'd like to go over as well. This is firefighters, which of course, most of the job will have a lot of complaints with it. Here's a paragraph from a former firefighter, which of course, he's complaining about the particular job. Quote unquote, too many firefighters get mesmerized by the dollar signs. Salaries for firefighters vary greatly around the United States, and it is important to get paid a fair wage for the work you perform. In some regions, firefighters are barely paid minimum wage and could possibly qualify for food stamps. In other areas, firefighters are paid very competitive salaries that allow them to live comfortably. I didn't say extravagantly, just comfortably. If they make wise financial decisions over the course of their career, salaries can and do change, based on a number of reasons, most of which are out of your control. What may be a low salary at the start of your career may change for the better over time, or it may change for the worse. Don't do this career to get rich. If you're all about it for the money, find a higher paying career. That paragraph was based on money, showing that the only real reason to be a firefighter would be not to enjoy it, rather to get money. Here's another paragraph from the same exact website. Quote unquote, firefighters typically work 10 24-hour shifts per month in some form. There are a number of different schedules that can and may change over the course of your career. No one schedule is better than the other. When I got hired 20 years ago, we were on the 3 and 4th schedule. Work a day, off a day, work a day, off a day, work a day, and off 4 days. Some departments work a day and get 2 days off. Other departments work 2 days in a row and then get 4 days off. They all usually average the same number of hours that most firefighters typically work, which seems to be about 56 hours per week. I honestly didn't care what schedule I worked when I got hired because I just wanted to be a firefighter. It's funny when I talk to firefighters around the country and we get on the subject of schedules. Some think we're crazy for doing 2 days on, 4 days off, when they are working 1 day on, 2 days off. Or they are working 10-hour and 14-hour shifts as some East Coast departments do. When I ask our personnel about those schedules, some think those firefighters are crazy. Realize that the quote-unquote great schedule you have when you get hired may change for the better or worse, depending on how you think about it. And you may not have a choice in your schedule because the fire chief typically has the right to alter schedules to the best the needs of the department. Of course, I'm rather happy that he can laugh at the schedule of working for a firefighter, but the schedules are rather confusing, which of course most people dislike confusing, meaning that people would typically dislike that, which of course is just something to think about. Why would I say all those paragraphs about jobs? Well, the reason I read all those paragraphs out loud was to prove that in those jobs, which a lot of people do, and I've already said how many people do each job, well, people mostly do it for the money, which if you do those jobs long enough, you'd be wasting a large percentage of your life, and if you only did those jobs for the money, which mostly everyone does, you'd especially be wasting your life. You see, When you're not enjoying a particular thing in your life, to which you do over and over again, most people claim that you're wasting your life, which of course I agree to. So, the reason I read small parts of each paragraph would be to show that most jobs, or at least some jobs, are only for money, which money is absolutely meaningless when you die. A piece of cotton, sometimes even paper if the country doesn't care as much. So if money is absolutely meaningless when you die, why do people work so hard to get it? The answer is money is used to buy things, such as clothes, food, water, and shelter, to which you need all of those objects. But if you're working a job, rather than working a job that you dislike, waiting for the weekend, find an actual job that you enjoy. Even if it doesn't make enough money for you to be rich, is my advice. Money, of course, is good in some ways. Some people would be willing to die or kill for money, but money is mostly just a tool in society, used to pay workers to get work done. Money can be good if you do the right thing with it. Instead of killing or dying for such a meaningless object, if you work a job that you genuinely like and get enough money to support you and your family if you have one, then yes, money is good. But if you waste your life chasing a meaningless object, wasting your time, energy, and life, doing wrong things with money, not only that, but being willing to kill and die for the object, money is bad. Money is good and bad. It's just the way you comprehend the particular object. Money isn't bad, it's more the people that are bad. It's the same with something such as a weapon. It's not the weapon that is killing or defending people, it's the person that's wielding the weapon. If someone is killed in an incident like this, the gun won't go to prison, yet the person will, depending on if the person gets caught and is charged.
Well, every time you come on over, I just wanna listen.
The main topic of this video was money, of course, and to tell you how it's quite bad and can be good at times. Most things can be good or bad, depending on how they're used. Example of this would be bleach, guns, robots, artificial intelligence, etc. I would go on for a while, but of course, I will not be doing that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if so, please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Support is always appreciated.